Hello again, thanks for choosing us. My name is Ernest Menu. Now, police at Ebuakwan in the Ashanti region are looking into the strange circumstances that led to a man preserving the body of his wife with ice for several months. The man's own body was also discovered by the police in the family's bathroom, sitting on the water closet. Now, two children of the couple, aged 11 and 13, were also rescued in an unconscious state. Ohemen Terry of our security desk has the rest of the story.
The Jacksons, a well-to-do family, lived in a rented apartment at Malkro Plot 10 after the family relocated from the Netherlands about 7 years ago. They never socialized with other residents as they live independently. But after several months of not hearing nor seeing the Jacksons, the live-in neighbors lodged a complaint with the Ebuakwan police. The bodies of the couple were discovered in a decomposing state. Their two children were also found in unconscious state. They were locked up without food and water in that two-bedroom apartment for days with the decomposing bodies of their dead parents. The traumatized children of the deceased are currently on admission at the Ebuakwan Polyclinic. Dr. Mensa Manye is medical superintendent.
They were brought in unconscious. It was a long month of traumatization in which, from what I gathered from the police, they were locked up in a room like for months. The extent of the decomposition and the odor of the smell is not the best. But I understand the man put an ice pack on the woman on the floor. That one too, I can't tell what he was trying to do. And he himself died in the washroom whilst, going to toilet. That's the water closet, I mean. So the children as a whole, they were brought in unconscious, very weak, dehydrated, very, very dehydrated. So that was the state they came in to the hospital. So I assembled my emergency team because they need a resuscitation. That is to give a lot of fluid. If there need be, you give some antibiotics so that we can always save the life of those two children. When you lose a lot of fluid, up to a certain percentage, your line or your veins collapse. So we're finding it difficult. Finally, we had it and resuscitated them.
Police say it has been difficult connecting with the families of the deceased. The children have been referred to the Social Welfare Department. Meanwhile, Dr. Manye is recommending psychotherapy support for the children.
To see your parents dead, both in the same room, and the trauma, even they accuse we adults and not being able to even go out. You are not able to go out from the presence of your parents. You see them decaying. You see them getting rotten. The odor is coming. As time goes on, because the elderly one could not still actually talk well. I don't know if it's because of the trauma. Maybe some psychologists may come in to actually talk to them so that they can, before they can get out of that situation.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohemen Terry reporting.
Let's get some more on this story. Ohemen Terry joins us via Zoom. There's some development on this story. Ohemen, we're learning that the families of the couple have reached out to the children after we aired the story. Tell us more.
And today, the mother of the late Mrs. Jackson, Madam Lydia Boachi Benson, visited the multimedia office in Kumasi following the airing of the report. She first came with an in-law and did indicate that indeed the late Mrs. Jackson, whom she described as 41-year-old Celestina Ajama Boachi, she said, was born in 1981. According to her, the first child, she is the one who helped her first child to travel to Netherlands, where she met the late husband, Mr. Samuel Jackson, whom we are reporting his demise as well. So a few years ago, they lived happily as a family, and until one evening, the daughter visited her in the family house, and the following day, she had a call from the daughter indicating that henceforth, or since that day, she was severing the relationship or any contact with the family. So since then, the mother has not an eye on her daughter and has no idea where she has been living with the husband. When she came to the office, is very distraught, in very disturbing mood. She cried throughout when she gave all these details and said she was very, very, very surprised to hear that her daughter has died in that bizarre circumstance. And so this afternoon, accompanied by the in-law, they went to the Abuakwa police station, and also with the police assistance, managed to see the children who have been on admission at the Abuakwa Polyclinic, and they were very, very, unhappy to see the current state of the children. They see were very, 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 healthy, and now they have grown lean and very skinny as well after they were left in that particular apartment for several months without food and water.
All right, so Ohime, you spoke to the mother of the deceased. We can now take that clip, and then when we return, we'll go into the details of your conversation with the brother-in-law.
It's very bizarre.
Lydia Boachi Benson. Lydia Boachi Benson.
Oh, Bano.
Me Bano Bano. Me Bapeno. And there's Tina Jama Boachi. And I say, what didn't go Jackson? So they are associated their natures and I know where your kind. So, there were 1981. 81.
41.
1st September 1981. And I'm a woman, Brian.
Brabeno or Papa.
Oh, Wareno. And for my quarter man, could be best. And your conqueror, quiet and Wadian. And your quiet and Wadian.
2008.
By China.
So, Warren or Ghana, and Yabu.
That be what Warren one crank.
No, we now hands on Moko.
That be one more, the Oma maybe.
Okay.
Oma may be a bano and call for Berman and call for no attempt to me. And she may anti fear a friend say, and crying, and your quiet.
Not Obano or Han on Netherlands.
No more million an hour.
Oh, now Ban.
No money, and to my phone by.
So that's mother of Mrs. Jackson, who died, whose body was preserved with ice pack by the husband, who was also discovered dead. Ohimin is still with me via Zoom. Ohimin, you also spoke to the brother-in-law who accompanied the mother of the deceased. Tell us more about your conversation with him.
Yes, Ernest, the brother-in-law of the late Mrs. Ernestina Jackson accompanied the in-law to the offices this morning following the airing of the story. And Fred Opon Boateng said it was the mother who actually sponsored the daughter to travel to Netherlands. So it was in Netherlands that she met the late Samuel Jackson, and also talked of what he described as a very strange response from the late Ernestina that led to the separation from the family for a very long time. So he says the family was aware they were living somewhere in Abuakwa, but had no idea of where exactly they have been living. We can take a listen to him.
Ernestina Jackson, JC Jr.
That's the children.
Maame nini ono ne ba ne we na ne kunu ni na omuma ne nkwala ne mienu. Yeah, well, they just look at my younger sister. Oh no. Yeah, mama, yeah.
So we'll bring you more on this subsequently, but let's speak to a psychologist, Adolf Ewuku Bakwin, I beg your pardon, who joins us on the phone. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Ewuku, for your time here on Joy News Prime. This is a bizarre story, and it must be traumatizing for the young boy who was also found in an unconscious state. How should this be handled?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I think it is, my sympathies go to the family of the bereaved family. It is very bizarre, as you rightly put it. My concern immediately is to find out what is the current medical state of the child, of the children, because that is very important. What they have gone through will cause a lot of strain on their physical body. So presently, we need to very much ensure that the pediatrics are on them, working to ensure that physically they are okay. That is where the immediate care and attention should be focused on. Of course, we are not ruling out the traumatic nature of the experience, the fact that it would have a very severe toll on their mental health. That is true by all standards. It is not easy for children to go through this adverse childhood experience. Even for adults, our capacity to experience something overwhelming like this is minimal. We are unable to stand it. For children, it is going to really have a toll on them. It is already showing inability to speak, what we call mutism. The fact that the experience was so traumatic, one way it shows is their inability to talk. They lose their speech, and it is a symptom of extreme trauma that children would go through.
I guess the family, the mother and the other family members may also need some help, and hopefully, like we've seen in recent times, the police may send their team of psychologists to assist the family. But we heard in the narration that she suddenly appeared before the family and said that she didn't want to have anything to do with them. She was, breaking ties with the family. Is that a signal that ordinary people should pick up with, their loved ones when they begin to make comments of the sort? And what could they be pointing to? Well,
we are social beings. Human beings, naturally, we are social beings, and therefore, a sudden severe that relationship definitely calls for questioning. What has happened? Would we have to follow up to find out what is happening in her life? What is that? It is very important because you cannot just all of a sudden walk up to your relations and say, I don't want anything to do with you again. What occasioned that experience? Is this because something is happening? There are so many beliefs hovering around this time that I think as a people we should be mindful of. What kind of activities were going on in the where she lived with her family? People have bizarre beliefs, bordering on sometimes on the occultic or some hyper-religiosity that in a way alienate them. They alienate themselves for maximum control. And for me, with my experience in violence, when women can be socialized by their spouses to sever all relationship with their extended family so that they can have absolute control over their spouse can have absolute control over them. that whatever is happening to you, you have nobody.
So it is definitely a signal that we must pick up. Dr. Bequin, I'm grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. We'll leave it here for now, and we'll see how this pans out.